Hello everyone and welcome to the second video of the Adobe Illustrator series, and today I'll be introducing you to all the basic tools in Illustrator. I won't be going in depth about what all of these tools do and how to change certain settings and use them in a certain way, but I will tell you the basics of all the tools, and this will basically just serve as an introduction to all of them. So as I've mentioned in the previous video, you can find all the tools in this toolbar that you can see to the left. If you want this to be a two-column view, you can click on these two arrows and that will convert it into two columns. And when you click on this edit toolbar section, it will show you a lot of other tools that you can add to the toolbar. So let's get started with the first tool. And before that, I will encourage you guys to use shortcuts for all your tools, as it will make your work a lot easier and it will take less time. So if you want to know the shortcut to any of these tools, you can just hover above them and that will show you the shortcut in the brackets. For example, for selection tool, it shows V. So when you click V on the keyboard, it will enable the selection tool and you'll be able to use it. So now with the selection tool enabled, if you click on any object like this, it will basically show your selection and you can drag to resize the object to your liking. If you want to maintain the aspect ratio while resizing your object, you can click on Shift and that will maintain the aspect ratio. And since the image we're dealing with is a vector image, no matter how much you enlarge it, it will not lose quality and vice versa. Now we can move on to the direct selection tool. As you can see, the shortcut for this is A. And basically the difference with the direct selection tool is it lets you alter the path and the anchor points in a vector image. We'll talk more about this later, but as you can see, when you select a path with the anchor point, you can click on the anchor point and it will let you alter the shape of the image as you like. And that's basically what anchor points are for. They let you customize the shape of your object to any extent. Moving on, we have the pen tool, the shortcut for which is P. And the pen tool is one of the most important tools in Illustrator, and it has a bit of a learning curve, but we will discuss that later. But basically, it lets you create paths and anchor points so that you can create the kind of shapes you want. You can make straight lines or you can make curves and you can close a path. When you click on S, it will give it a stroke. So you can change the stroke from the properties. You can give it a 12-point stroke, which will make it thicker. And you can even give it a fill if you like. And this tool is basically used to create different kinds of shapes and objects in Illustrator. After this, we have our shape tools, which include the rectangle tool, the ellipse tool, polygon tool, star tool, and line segment tool. The naming for these are quite straightforward, like they do exactly what you expect them to do, which this will create a rectangle. You can create an ellipse, any kind of an ellipse, or you can even create a circle by pressing on Shift. And similar things with the polygon tool and the star tool and the line segment tool. They do exactly as their name suggests, so there's not much to that. And these help you quickly create shapes in case you don't want to do it with the pen tool. So now let's look at the paintbrush tool. It is also quite straightforward. You can basically use it to draw something, and Illustrator usually automatically smoothens your lines. But that is something you can choose for yourself in tool options, whether you want it to be smooth or accurate. And you can also choose different kinds of brushes, like this is a charcoal brush. So according to what you need, you can use the brushes. After this, we have the type tool, which again, I think it's quite straightforward. You can use it to type something, and you can, as I have instructed earlier, I have put the character window here, so we can change the settings of type from the character window. We can choose the size and we can choose what font we are using. And in the type tool, there's also a vertical type tool, which essentially does the same thing, but when you type, it goes vertically. And then we have the type on path tool, so you can click on any shape and it will take the parameters of the shape and create a path around it, as you can see. So that can create many different effects if you're going for a certain kind of typography. After this, we have the rotate, scale, and reflect tool. So firstly, I'll just create a rectangle here. And again, the names are quite straightforward. You can use the shortcut R for rotate, and you can use it to rotate objects. So when you select it, you can click and drag and it will rotate your object, and this blue point is basically the center of the rotation. And you have a scale tool, which again does a similar thing. It will scale your image based on the center point that you assign. And the reflect tool is basically used to create a reflection of whatever you're doing. You can click Alt and click on this object and it will create a reflection of the object. After this, we have the eraser tool, which again, as the name suggests, it will erase your object and it will do basically what any erase tool does. If you select the object, it will only erase within the parameters of that object. The scissor tool can be used to cut out paths. You can click on the starting and ending and you can use it to cut out the paths. And the scissor tool will just remove that portion from your object. After this, we have the shape builder tool. The shape builder tool is basically used to create compositions of objects. You can make two different objects, like a square and a circle. You can select both of them, and then when you use the shape builder tool, you can draw a line over both these objects and it will make it into one shape. So you can create many complex shapes using this tool. We will now move on to the gradient tool, and before that I'll create another circle for demonstration purposes. And while the circle is selected, I will go to the gradient tool and simply click on the circle, and this will create a black and white gradient. And we can alter this gradient from the properties here. As you can see, there's a gradient option. This is a linear gradient. You can also make a radial one or custom freeform gradient. So let's go to the linear gradient. I think the easiest way to alter how your gradient looks would be to use this line slider that we see here. You can adjust how the colors transition. You can move it here and there. And there's a lot of other things you can do simply with the slider, and you can also adjust the harshness of the gradient. And when you click on this, you can change the colors. And you can play around with these gradients and see what kind of look you like. And by drawing the line at angles, you can even change the angle of the gradient. Next, we have the eyedropper tool, which basically lets you select any color from anywhere in the canvas. And say you have an object selected and you eyedrop something from somewhere else, it will give that object the same color, which is quite useful. And if you want to zoom in and out of your artboard, you can simply click Alt if you're using a mouse and you can scroll in and out. Or if you don't have a mouse, you can press Ctrl or Command on a Mac and press plus to zoom in and minus to zoom out. So that makes it quite easy to navigate your artboard. And if you want to pan around, you simply click the space bar and you will see this hand icon and you can move around your artboard. And talking about artboards, we also have an artboard tool which lets you edit your artboard, making it bigger, smaller, making a couple of other artboards. So the artboard tool will help you make artboards, and you can also change the size of your artboard from here as well. if you want to make something for different screen sizes. So these are all the basic tools in Illustrator that you need to know about. We'll go more in depth about each of these tools in the future videos and learn how to implement them. So that is all for today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.